I still can't shake the memory of that humiliating moment when Henry Crawford abandoned me at our own engagement party. The banquet hall was crowded, yet eerily silent. The atmosphere was so tense you could hear every breath in the room. The silence stretched on until Charlotte Reynolds, her hand firmly clasped in Henry's, finally broke it with a gentle plea. "Henry, please don't. Sarah's still so young." "Young?" A scornful whisper drifted from the corner. "Isn't she pushing 26? The growing murmurs only made the tension more unbearable. I desperately clung to the edge of Henry's jacket, refusing to accept what was happening. When I finally looked up at him, I couldn't hold back my tears. "Sarah, don't force me to be cruel," Henry said, carefully setting down his champagne glass as he rose from his seat. "How many times must I repeat myself? We're nothing more than the product of our family's arrangement. I don't love you, I never have and never will." Fighting back tears, I challenged him, "Then why did you never let me date anyone else?" "Because you were my fiancé," he replied coldly. "Even it is in name only, any scandal involving you would have brought shame to both the Blackwoods and the Crawfords." "What about that kiss at my graduation ceremony?" I pressed. Irritation flashed across Henry's face. "You were drunk and threw yourself at me." I let out a bitter laugh, even as tears continued streaming down my face. "But in all these years, I was the only woman in your life. Are you saying you felt absolutely nothing for me?" "That's because I hadn't met the woman I truly love until now." Henry wrapped his arm around Charlotte's shoulders. "Listen carefully, because I'll only say this once, I love Charlotte, and she's the one I'm going to marry. Your usual manipulation won't work this time." "Henry." Charlotte melted into his embrace. Right there, at what was supposed to be my engagement party, Henry bent down and kissed her. Charlotte wrapped her arms around his neck, returning his kiss with equal passion. As I watched them, I couldn't help but remember our graduation night kiss, the same tenderness, the same passion that had kept me lost in a beautiful illusion for 4 years, foolishly believing I held a special place in his heart. Later, Henry moved out of the Crawford mansion and into a luxury riverside apartment with Charlotte. He specifically asked friends not to tell me about the move, probably fearing I'd create another scene. This time, though, I didn't rush to his office building in tears. Instead, after a brief moment of heartache, I forced myself to move on. One evening, while having dinner with friends nearby, I ran into Charlotte as I was paying the bill. "Sarah, Henry's here too. Would you like to come say hello?" I politely declined, "Sorry, I have plans with friends." Suddenly, Charlotte's eyes welled up with tears. "Sarah, I know my family background isn't as prestigious as yours, but please stop speaking ill of me to the elders." I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Charlotte, I've never said anything about you to them." She continued through her tears, "I understand, you've been Henry's fiancé since childhood, and you've always loved him deeply. It's natural that you can't accept our relationship right away. But Sarah, as women, shouldn't we learn to let go? I've always been direct, not one for subtle implications. Charlotte, please don't make unfounded accusations." Before I could finish, Charlotte suddenly collapsed to her knees. "Sarah, I'm begging you." Startled, I reached out to help her up, but before I could touch her, she fell backward. "Sarah, what are you doing?" Henry's furious voice boomed from behind. A powerful force shoved me away, and my arm slammed hard against the iron railing, sending pain shooting through my body. "Henry, let me explain, this is just a misunderstanding." "You dare make excuses?" he snarled. "How long have you been pulling these tricks?" Henry pulled Charlotte into his arms, his eyes piercing through me with pure hatred, as if trying to cut me to pieces with his gaze alone. "Sarah, apologize to her right now." "Henry, shut up and apologize immediately." Charlotte trembled in his arms, tears falling silently down her face, looking utterly helpless. My arm was already turning a mottled purple and blue, with bruising visibly spreading beneath the skin. Those shocking marks didn't even catch Henry's eye, he just looked at me as if I were some unforgivable criminal. I gave a bitter smile, unwilling to say another word. "I'm sorry." Henry seemed taken aback for a moment, but his eyes quickly grew even harder. "Not sincere enough." I straightened my back and bowed deeply. "Is this better?" Charlotte watched me, her lips curling slightly upward before quickly shifting to sobs as she turned to Henry. Let it go, Henry. How could I accept such an apology? Henry's expression instantly softened. Sarah, I've told you before, Charlotte is different from others. Bullying her like this only makes me despise you more, and makes me love her even more. He turned and left with Charlotte in his arms. I stood there alone for I don't know how long, the pain in my arm unbearable, like being stabbed with needles. Yet my heart was surprisingly calm. I finally understood, in that moment, all those years of foolish young love turned to nothing, vanishing like smoke. That night, Henry posted several times on social media. People in our circle immediately sent me screenshots, specifically highlighting his captions. I understood their intentions perfectly. In the past, at times like this, I would have impulsively confronted Henry with a big scene. Though he was always impatient, he would eventually give in. That made me mistakenly believe he cared about me, and made me increasingly unable to know when to stop. This time, I chose silence. Instead, I dialed back that missed call from a week ago. Mr. Barnes, this is Sarah. About what you proposed last time, I've made my decision. When I was 13, my parents died in an accident. Because the Crawfords were old family friends and lived nearby, I moved in with them. Until Rachel called. Rachel was my mother's closest friend in her youth, but she had moved far away for love and lost touch. By the time she settled in Verdencliff, my parents had already passed away. Rachel wanted me to come live in Verdencliff. She also wanted to fulfill a childhood promise with my mother by having me marry her son and become the Barnes' daughter-in-law. A week ago, I couldn't bring myself to agree immediately, but I couldn't refuse either, only saying I needed time to think. Yet tonight, I suddenly saw clearly how blind I'd been all these years. My one-sided love was truly laughable. I didn't want to be other people's gossip anymore. 6 months ago, Henry wanted to break off our engagement. I had refused desperately at the time, causing several scenes. But he never changed his mind. Looking back now, maybe this was for the best. Perhaps it was all meant to be. On the other end of the phone, Rachel happily said, Sarah, William has been waiting for your answer. He's about to fly to Verdencliff to propose to you. Holding my phone, I suddenly felt my cheeks flush. The laughter in my ear made me feel strangely lost. The person I had loved unrequitedly for 10 years, who knew it would only take 7 short days to truly let go. Henry and Charlotte chose to get engaged the day I left for Verdencliff, so nobody came to see me off. After landing, I turned on my phone. Message notifications kept coming in, most about Henry and Charlotte's engagement. I smiled and blocked them all. Before coming to Verdencliff, I had met William. I didn't want to make a big deal of it or cause gossip. William completely understood my feelings. He proposed, we exchanged rings, we got engaged just that simply. A simple diamond ring added to my finger. Just as I was about to get into the Barnes car, my phone suddenly rang. It was Henry's cousin Emily. Sarah, the engagement ceremony is about to start, where are you? Just arrived in Silverbrook Haven. Come back quickly, there's still time. Come back for what? My voice was calm. Emily was speechless for a moment. Are you not thinking straight? If you don't come back and make a scene now, Henry will really become someone else's. Isn't this Henry's big life event? Why would I go make a scene? Sarah. Emily's voice suddenly rose. Have you gone mad? I was about to hang up when Charlotte's voice came through the phone. Sarah, will you attend Henry's and my engagement ceremony? Charlotte's voice was gentle. Though you were Henry's former fiancé, he's always considered you like a sister. As your future sister-in-law, I truly hope to have your blessing. I lifted my gaze to the figure in the distance. There he was, leaning casually against the luxury car, his eyes filled with gentleness. In that moment, my heart found its peace. Of course. I sincerely wish you both endless happiness together. Meanwhile, Henry stood drinking with friends on the terrace, his eyes occasionally drifting toward Emily's group. He understood their habits all too well. That group had always been Sarah's informants, without fail reporting back to her. Just like clockwork, whenever a woman appeared in his life, they would immediately alert Sarah, who would then arrive to create a scene. It was this endless cycle that he despised most. Over time, he had gradually distanced himself from female companions. He expected this time to be no different. That's why he had deliberately scheduled it for the day Sarah left for Silverbrook Haven. Though the timing wasn't perfect, the engagement ceremony wasn't until 7 in the evening. Henry could feel a headache building. After all, once Sarah heard the news, she would likely catch the first flight back, arriving just as the engagement ceremony began. Henry, what if Sarah returns to disrupt everything? She's your ex-fiancée after all. She'll probably lose it when she learns you're with someone else. Although she's been unusually quiet recently. You abandoned her for Charlotte at the altar, yet she barely showed any reaction. That's strange. In the past, she would have been beside herself by now. Henry's wine glass froze halfway to his lips, the sip forgotten as his friend's words sank in. Sarah had indeed been unusually quiet lately, unnaturally so. This wasn't like her at all. Throughout the years, despite his countless rejections, she had never given up, each refusal only strengthening her resolve. Now that she was older, she seemed to have developed more patience. A thought suddenly struck Henry, bringing a soft chuckle as he set down his glass. Just wait and see. She's never been one to remain silent for long. Henry, you think Sarah will come back to cause trouble? Henry didn't respond, but internally he was certain. She had always been emotional since childhood. During her teenage years, she had been obsessed with romantic dramas, trying every cliché move on him. He knew her playbook by heart. This period of quiet was surely just another tactic. He would bet anything that by the time the engagement ceremony started, Sarah would make her appearance. Increase security, Henry said, checking his watch. Don't let any uninvited guests in to cause disruption. Just then, Emily came running up. Henry, Sarah's here, her car's at the front gate. Henry felt an odd stirring inside before his expression darkened. She never learns, still coming to make trouble. Henry, what should we do? If she creates a scene, the Crawford family name. With a grim expression, Henry strode toward the entrance. Let's see what drama she tries to create this time. Everyone followed his lead. As they were leaving the terrace, Charlotte's soft voice called out. Henry. She stood there in a champagne-colored gown, her hair elegantly styled, her makeup subtle and fresh. Though the engagement ceremony was still hours away at 7, Charlotte maintained her composure despite her internal anxiety. Why did you come here? Henry paused, his gaze falling on Charlotte's face. She was truly beautiful, the kind of beauty that awakened a protective instinct in others. She was completely different from Sarah's willful boldness. Charlotte's humble background had made her somewhat timid, always choosing her words with care. During his most frustrating times, when Sarah's persistence had worn him thin, Charlotte's gentle nature had easily touched his heart. Unlike his previous relationships where women actively pursued him, he had met Charlotte by rescuing her from a difficult situation. Men's hero complex being what it is, his feelings for Charlotte were entirely different from his past casual relationships. I heard Sarah's back. Charlotte's eyes reddened before she could finish. I'm worried. She bit her lip, lowering her head. Henry, will we be able to have our engagement ceremony today? Don't overthink it. Henry gripped her shoulders gently, trying to comfort her. I'll handle it now. But Charlotte caught his sleeve. Henry, I'm scared. Her tears began falling rapidly. I'm afraid you'll regret breaking off your engagement with her. Her small, fragile figure stood there, looking as if she might shatter at any moment. Don't worry, Charlotte, Henry never had feelings for Sarah, Emily interjected, a smug smile flickering in her eyes. She's just a spoiled rich girl who throws tantrums. Henry's been sick of her for ages. She won't succeed. Emily had never hidden her contempt. Ever since Sarah's engagement to Henry, Emily's once loving parents had placed Sarah on a pedestal. Though they always claimed she was their future sister-in-law, insisting the Crawfords were just being polite for appearance's sake, Emily couldn't stand her. All these years, her greatest pleasure had been watching Sarah make a fool of herself. Now that Sarah had been publicly jilted and left Silverbrook Haven alone in shame, Emily couldn't be more delighted. She'd support anyone marrying Henry except Sarah. Henry suddenly turned to Emily. Weren't you always close with her? How could I be close to her? I've been hoping you'd break off the engagement. At this point, Emily didn't bother hiding her true feelings anymore. Her past friendliness had been just to gain trust, to manipulate Sarah into actions that would annoy others. Now that she didn't need to pretend anymore, what a relief. Emily, not noticing Henry's darkening expression, continued, "Henry, how about this? You stay with Charlotte, I'll go deal with her. Don't worry, I'll make sure she loses face completely." "What do you plan to do? Have security throw her out? Her parents must be rolling in their graves." Before she could finish, a sharp slap echoed through the hall. Everyone froze, especially Charlotte, who frowned as she watched Henry's eyes grow increasingly dark. "Henry, why did you hit me?" Emily held her face, crying hysterically. "She was once my fiancée in name." Henry's expression was terrifying. "You should respect her. She carried the title of my fiancée for all these years. When you humiliate her like this, where does that leave the Crawfords' dignity? Why are you defending her?" Emily sobbed. "Didn't you hate her the most? If you hadn't let us in disliking her, how would we have acted this way?" He fell silent for a long time. Did he really despise her as they said? But when he first met that girl, their relationship was the closest. When she fell down, he was the one who carried her to the hospital. When she was bullied, he was the first to rush to the scene and stand up for her. Even when she got her first period, he was the one who went to buy necessities late at night. She saw him as her support, and as she grew up, he became her whole world. He actually liked her dependence on him. When did things start to go wrong? Henry suddenly felt lost. Charlotte's sobbing brought his thoughts back to reality. Yes, she was the one who changed first. After she grew up, she was spoiled by her family until she became uncontrollable. Her personality became increasingly willful, domineering and controlling. She wouldn't let him associate with any girls and would throw tantrums over nothing. So he grew increasingly annoyed and distant from her, even insisting on sending her to study in Silverbrook Haven despite her tearful protests. He did this only hoping she would grow up and become sensible. Once she fixed her bad temper, he would go get her. With so many years of feelings between them, how could he truly let go and leave her adrift alone in a strange place? But now it seemed she hadn't improved at all. She even dared to continue acting willfully at such an important occasion. She was really something. She had barely arrived and already thrown the Crawfords into chaos. Henry pulled Charlotte into his arms. "Go fix your makeup first, let the makeup artist redo it. I'll come find you after I handle this. The engagement ceremony will start on time, don't worry." Only after wiping away Charlotte's tears did Henry turn to leave. Charlotte stood there, watching Henry's retreating figure. For some reason, she felt uneasy. Emily was right earlier. Everyone knew he was cold towards her, yet he slapped his own cousin over a few words about her. Did he really hate her? Or was she still special to him? Henry walked to the front gate. He didn't see her, only her pink BMW parked there. And standing by the car was her best friend. Henry's steps suddenly halted, his heart seemed to be pulled down by something. That's when he remembered, before leaving Verdencliff, she had already given this car to her friend. Seeing him, she immediately walked over. Henry saw she was holding a gift. Her expression was cold as she got straight to the point. "She asked me to bring gifts for you and Charlotte." But Henry didn't reach out to take it. She frowned. "There's one more thing." "Speak." "She left in such a hurry, never got a chance to see you. I've tried contacting you many times but couldn't get through. So I never had the chance to get this back from you. Remember that ring she gave you on your birthday? It was a family heirloom from her grandmother." Eleanor Mitchell said with an unfriendly expression, "Sarah told me this ring was meant for her future husband. It's not appropriate for you to still have it. Could you give it to me? I'll return it to Sarah when I see her in Silverbrook Haven." Henry suddenly looked down at the understated ring on his ring finger. This morning while changing clothes, he had inexplicably put on this ring. It didn't really match his suit, but he hadn't taken it off. Yet now, looking at this ring, it only felt jarring. For her future husband. His heart inexplicably unsettled at the thought of Sarah spending her life with someone else, sharing days and nights, growing old together. An indescribable discomfort welled up in his chest. How could someone who once loved him so deeply marry another? Her avoiding him now and sending Eleanor to retrieve it was clever. He had to admit, this move had truly disturbed his thoughts. Mr. Crawford? Tell Sarah for me. I never take back things I've given away. Of course, if she insists, she's welcome to come discuss it in person. Henry turned to leave after speaking. But Eleanor quickly called after him. Mr. Crawford, wait, I'll get Sarah to talk to you right now. What a joke. Sarah was about to enter marriage. How could this ring, carrying such special meaning, remain in another's hands? Sarah had repeatedly urged her to retrieve the ring before the wedding. She wanted to personally put it on her husband's finger at the ceremony. Over the years, Eleanor's disgust for Henry had grown daily. Yet Sarah had been so blindly devoted, it was almost unreasonable. Wasting her youth waiting, only to be heartlessly abandoned. Every time Eleanor thought about it, she wanted to slap Henry twice. Fortunately, she finally saw reality and found a better destination. Eleanor was genuinely happy for her friend. This time, she must fulfill her mission. When I received Eleanor's call, the car was almost at the barns. Eleanor, what's wrong? Sarah, I went to ask Henry for the ring as you said. But he won't give it to me, and says if you insist, you must come talk to him yourself. I unconsciously glanced at William beside me, feeling somewhat nervous. We were still unfamiliar with each other. Though he appeared gentle and courteous, his presence was impossible to ignore. Earlier in the car, he took a work call, switching effortlessly between 3 languages, giving orders decisively. That natural air of authority made me feel childish and naive. I'm not usually a quiet person, but around William, I became inexplicably reserved. Before I could respond to Eleanor, Henry's voice came through the phone. Sarah, do you truly want the ring back, or do you have other motives? I was stunned, then laughed bitterly. If you're trying to ruin my and Charlotte's engagement ceremony, don't waste your effort. If you want the ring, come get it the same way you gave it to me. After all, such a precious item shouldn't be handled through others. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice calm. Eleanor is my closest friend, just give it to her. I'll take all responsibility. Henry chuckled. Sarah, must I be more explicit? Come get it back the same way you gave it to me. The call abruptly ended. I felt angry and embarrassed, my cheeks flushing red. How had I given him that ring? It was on my graduation day. I gathered my courage and kissed him under the campus tree. It was my first time initiating a kiss. He seemed surprised but didn't push me away. In that moment, I thought I'd finally found the right timing. Trembling, I took the ring from my pocket and gently placed it in his palm. I told him the ring's meaning. After a moment of silence, he accepted it. Because of that, I believed he had silently accepted and welcomed my love. These past few years felt like a terrible dream. Now that I've awakened, I just want to settle accounts with the past. I thought Henry would be eager to return the ring like throwing away trash. I never expected him to say such things. Only now did I realize belatedly that youthful impulses would one day come at a price. If this ring didn't carry that special meaning, I wouldn't even ask for it back. But I was about to enter marriage, leaving the ring with Henry would be too unfair to William. Having some trouble? William suddenly spoke. I looked up, meeting his deep gaze. An indescribable embarrassment welled up inside me. I didn't want to hide anything, but our relationship was still new, and it was difficult to explain. No, I shook my head gently, thinking to myself that I'd get the item back even if I had to ask Mark for help. Having made up my mind, I gradually relaxed. Nothing major, just some small matters to handle with the Crawfords. I smiled casually at William. I can handle it myself. William just nodded lightly. All right. If you encounter anything you can't resolve, Sarah, feel free to ask. After all, you'll soon be my wife. He said it so naturally. It wasn't the first time he'd used such intimate terms, but my ears still burned. Especially hearing the word wife, even my neck grew hot. Our engagement was set, and in half a month, I would marry him. My feelings were mixed, yet there was a hint of anticipation and sweetness. I couldn't look him in the eyes. Stealing a glance at him, I gave a soft response. William said nothing more. The car stopped in front of the Barnes villa. He got out first, then came around to open my door. I noticed the diamond ring on his left ring finger catching the light. Since putting it on at our engagement ceremony, he had never taken it off. He gently helped me out of the car. After I was steady, his hands still held mine, naturally interlacing our fingers. At first, I felt awkward, but the warmth of his palm was reassuring. His long fingers gently locked with mine, and I gradually relaxed. It all felt perfectly natural. In the distance, Rachel saw us walking hand in hand and her face lit up with joy. She hurried toward us. Before we got close, Rachel hugged me tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Sarah, you look just like your mother when she was young." I couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears. Her familiar scent reminded me of my mother's fragrance from my hazy memories. William stood beside us, shaking his head helplessly. He took out a handkerchief from his pocket and handed it over. "Mom, please don't cry with Sarah. Others might think we're bullying you too." Rachel laughed through her tears, then helped wipe my tears away. She held my hand tightly. "Sarah, come home with us." My gaze unconsciously turned to William. He was looking at me too. Behind him were lush green trees. When I looked over, William's eyes held a gentle smile. He also reached out his hand to me. "Sarah, let's go home." There were still 20 minutes until 7 o'clock.